I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised. You may or may not have seen this clip of Chelsea Clinton floating around from April 25th, 2023. But if not, I wanted to share it. But before I do, I wanted to share a couple excerpts from Goodbye Germ Theory Again by Dr. William Treving. This was from the 7th edition, published in 2019. The book was published originally in 1999, so 20 years later he wanted to do a little update. So listen to this.
2019 Addendum to this audiobook edition 7 of Goodbye Germ Theory. Nearly 2 decades have passed since this controversial text was first published in 1999, so I figured an up-to-date, State-of-the-Union type address would be prudent, especially to my loyal readers who are adherents to this message of truth and whom act to pass this information on to countless other families to save their children around the globe. I'd like to give you better news. I'd like to say things have improved since 1999. I'd like to say public awareness has increased to reach a critical mass of at least 10% of the population, which would be enough to end the chemical blood-poisoning madness our children experience by just living in this world. I'd really like to say this, but in reality, I simply don't know if things are any better than when I began this crusade. I suppose we could look at the question's isomer. Are things any worse? Well, Hillary Clinton, probably one of the foremost enemies to ever exist against the people of these United States, is not the president, so there's a positive. Hillary Clinton has been in bed with the medical cartel and has been a pharmaceutical puppet from the early days of her corrupt career with her corrupt husband. Mark my word, if she were president, you would already be dealing with oppressive federal registries to track you and your children for the vaccines you have received or refused to receive. She was working on getting this accomplished during her run as a New York senator, and thank God she was unsuccessful. If Hillary Clinton were president right now, you would see unvaccinated children quarantined to their homes by the police. You would see DCF officials with far more power using police to forcefully vaccinate children and label parents who do not vaccinate as child abusers. You would also eventually see the fruition of a project the pharmaceutical companies have been planning for decades. A federally mandated adult vaccination regime that would bar you from hotel stays, car rentals, restaurants, and airplane travel if you did not comply with it.
All right, you get the point. Now listen to this.
I do think, though, when you ask about the role of public-private partnerships kind of after the last few years, I think we spend so much time, understandably, focused on the mRNA vaccines and technologies. I spend a lot of time thinking about the really unfortunate, to try to use a not too judgmental word, kind of rise in not only kind of vaccine hesitancy and questioning, but outright kind of rejection of vaccines and of kind of science and the scientific kind of process, and also too often on our scientists, our epidemiologists, our frontline healthcare workers. And so I do think we need to have a much more robust conversation and sense of urgency, because I think we are less prepared today than we were arguably in January of 2020, partly because of the kind of lack of trust and confidence in not only our scientists, but in science itself, and certainly in the public health professionals. And so I think we need kind of the public sector to hopefully stop doing things like stripping away public health emergency powers from state public health agencies. But we also need the private sector to help, candidly, do a better job of helping explain kind of the science that you are already commercializing and bringing to market, but also what you're working on, and help us kind of in the broader conversation not be uncomfortable with the discomfort of uncertainty. And so I do think we need really good ideas for how best to do that, because we all deserve to hopefully not be as unprepared as I worry we are at the moment. A new effort that we're a part of is the new initiative launched by the World Health Organization last week to try to catch kids up on their routine immunizations. In 2021 alone, more than 25 million kids under the age of 1 missed at least one routine immunization. And so we're working with WHO and the Gates Foundation and others to hopefully have the largest kind of childhood immunization effort ever over the next 18 months to catch as many kids up as possible, because no one should die of polio or measles or pneumonia, including in this country where we also need people to be vaccinating their kids.
Y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
Fucking stoned.
I got